Hey everyone.
Hi, Susan.
Hi. Oh, who's unmuted? Who's that? Hi. I'm sorry, I thought I had muted everyone. If you could mute yourself just so that we don't have a lot of background noise.
Sure.
Thank you. So this, before I get going, wanted to let you all know that this class is being recorded. So that's why I will not be able to interact, because then the recording will record you, and just for privacy purposes, I have to keep the video on my screen. If there is questions after class on something, please don't hesitate to either email me or text me. I believe you all have my contact. It was on the email that went out, or you can go on the website and visit it. And all my contact information is there too. So, okay. So I just wanted to, first of all, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to be doing this, this class, and I was very appreciative of Jeff to market it as well as marketing it through my own websites. The purpose of this class is to introduce you to my work, to introduce you to my approach to the body and the mind, and how to connect. And it's really not so much, this is a space for you. And the class will be an exploration of movement and breath, and we will be doing a little bit of meditation. So if you do have physical limitations where you feel that you cannot get down on the floor, I will not be going up and down, up and down. We're going to be starting on the ground, or you can be in a chair for this piece. And then I will move once to the floor. So if you want to use a chair or a couch or something to help you get down, and then we will get up and we'll see how it goes. We only have 45 minutes, unfortunately. So we'll just see how this goes. So again, any questions, never hesitate to reach out. I love connecting with my community. Let's begin simply by just centering. So you can close your eyes or not for this, but in any event, soften the eyes. Allow yourself to be truly right here. You made this time for yourself. So allow the mind to just open up. Stay curious, and we will explore together. Simply become aware of the breath, while at the same time holding the vision of the midline of the body. The midline divides out the front side from the back side, and also the right side from the left side. So very deep, like a center axis line. Just hold that vision gently in your awareness. Don't have to overthink it. Just do the best that you can do for right now. And this perception changes the more we do it. And the nuances of awareness expand with practice. So as you become aware of the breath, let's become aware of all four pieces. And that doesn't mean you have to control the breath or manipulate it in any way. It's an awareness exercise instead of a breathing exercise. And the four natural pieces: the inhale, the pause, the exhale, and the pause again. As we slow down and allow ourselves to become more and more present, the breath will naturally change. We can never force ourselves to relax. We simply have to open up to it. And as you hold the vision of the midline, staying aware of those four pieces. And as some of you may know, I was trained with a Taoist theory. And a Taoist breath visualization is that we breathe in from the base, we channel it through the spine, through the whole torso, all the way up. And when we exhale through the crown of the head, so that then the energy can rain back down and become part of the next breath cycle. So in Taoism, everything is about aligning ourselves to nature. So just like a tree would bring the energy in from the root system, channeling it through and giving it back through the leaves so that it can rain back down. So now expand your visualization, let the imagination expand, and truly imagine that we are completely organic, like we are. We are part of nature, we're not separate. And holding the vision of that breath cycle, allowing us to remember that we are part of something much larger. There's an interdependency going on all the time, an intersubjectivity going on all the time. And as we move the energy through our body, it's like we're saying that we're allowing the energy to not only move through us, but we're allowing spirit to move through us. So now we're just going to add a little bit more movement, but that is the platform for the rest of the class. To breathe in that way, to imagine aligning ourselves so much with that interdependency, and truly allowing ourselves to just open up to that, just to open up to that. As you inhale now, add your arms. Inhale, bring the arms up. As you exhale, the arms come down, but the spine does not. And again, activating the core. Inhale, bring the breath up. Think about drawing the lower abdomen in to feel the extension of the low back so that it carries the arms up. When you come back down, the spine keeps that beautiful extension that you just found. Again, inhale. This time, let's stay up. If you have the shoulder range to interlace your fingers, go right ahead, but allow the arm bones to rest in their sockets. As your hands try to extend up towards the ceiling, try to think about straightening your elbow, but not by taking the shoulder out of the socket, by actually doing the opposite, drawing the arm bone down deep into the socket as your fingertips reach for your ceiling. Now let's add the spine. Inhale, lift through the low back so much that it lifts the vision. And you look up at your hands and you stay here for 5 breaths. If this is too much for your shoulders, you bring your hands down in front of your heart. This is more about lifting your spine, opening up the heart and lungs, sensing the width of your collarbones. If this hurts your neck, that usually means that your chin is too high. In order for the head to lift up and back, it has to be supported by the lift of the heart. So try to bring your heart up to your hands and sense how that really can help you lift out of your low back and take pressure off of your neck and bring it down. Now we'll do some spinal movement the other way. As you exhale, bring your arms forward, sink your heart backwards. Inhale, reverse, taking the pelvis in more of an arching position, opening the heart. As you exhale, round the spine, round it, taking your pelvis a little underneath you, and arch and curl. That's all this is, pelvis, arch and curl. Now do it from your abdominal muscles. Draw your belly button in, all the way back to the spine. Let that open your spine. Stay here for a minute. Take your whole front body back into your spine. Let your chin drop and take your throat back into the cervical spine. And as you bring that front body backwards, it will help you open the spaces in between your spine. Now feel the reverse. Inhale, arch and open up. And think about opening, bringing the back body into the front and opening up the front body. And the back body is a little bit more contracted. Now, when you come into neutral, the front body is open and the back body is open. So think about placing all of your organs in the middle. And if you put your hands on your pelvis, if you hold on to your hip bones, that's your pelvis, right? So oftentimes I use anatomy like second nature because I say it all day long. So if there's something that you're not quite understanding what I'm saying, please, you can always email me or look it up. But right now, so if I'm talking about something that feels very fundamental to you, I don't mean to insult anybody, but I just want to be clear. You're holding on to your pelvis here. Rock your pelvis back, tilt it. You'll sense your pointy butt bones. You'll roll onto the back of them. Take your hands and move your pelvis forward. You'll come to the weight on the front of the butt bones. Go forward and back a few times, exploring your range, not with a sense of force, but with a sense of fluidity. Just rocking, get pelvic fluidity here, rocking forward and back. Spine doesn't have to fully collapse. This is just pelvis, rolling back, rolling forward. Now come to neutral, where you have equal weight on both butt bones. And if you put your hand in your spine, so reach around, this is just for curiosity, because sometimes it's better to touch than to feel. If you put your hand inside your spine, you're going to feel a little indentation. Notice if you let your pelvis roll, that indentation goes away, right? So oftentimes we sit at our desk. I'm going to turn sideways so that you can really see this. When I'm sitting at my desk like this or sitting in a chair, my vertebrae are sticking out. So that's not functional, proper structure on the spine. If your pelvis comes into a neutral position, not to the point where you're overarching, because then the belly gets a little too pressurized, find where you have the belly and it's just there, it's calm. Tonight when you go look in the mirror, look at your spine and you'll see that there should be really a gully that goes down your entire spine. When we have calcifications in the spine where we have this round...
You might want to find this interesting if you want to look at it.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Sorry, I think someone needs to mute themselves. I think I hear background noise or someone asking me a question.
He's doing some interesting exercises.
Oh, thank you. So I just want you to sense, because I want you to feel, if you're rounded, the front body is fully collapsed. We are sitting on our digestion and we're not allowing ourselves to really have availability to the lungs. So that's why we want a strong core. That's why we want a lifted spine. And it is completely normal that it takes a lot to hold ourselves up. So if you can hold onto your elbows over your head and just think about growing the sides of your waist and lifting your spine. This is something that you can practice at your desk. If you engage your inner thighs, that's going to help even more, but nothing is overly gripped. Then, so pardon me, switch the arm that's holding. And then bring it down without collapsing. Now, to open the hips a little bit, and you could do this in the chair or on the floor, walk your hands forward, but don't let your back round. So as you walk forward, send your heart across the room. Let someone see your collarbones to the best of your ability across the room. And think about as you inhale and you lift that sternum, you're feeling, if you don't feel it now, you'll feel it one day, that your low back responds and it grows. And you're increasing the space in between each of the vertebrae here. And it's gentle. Come back to neutral. Look at the way you have your legs crossed, if you do, and cross them the opposite way that your normal default is. Find the equal weight on your butt bones again, and walk it forward again. As you stay a little forward, relax the back of your hip. Let the soft tissue relax as you stay up high in the lungs. And breathe. Get the breath to move through your body. Hold that vision again. And now come back to neutral. We're going to simply just open one leg. Open the right leg out to the side. If you're in a chair, just take your knee out to the side. Just put your leg a little bit off to the side. However, you want to keep equal weight on both butt bones. Simply turn to the best that you can. Look at your right leg. And don't let the weight come off of your left butt bone. So you're just looking, and you're going to hinge from the hip crease, meaning a long flat back, and then apply a little bit of pressure onto your left butt bone. And try not to let yourself roll backwards. Find the front of those butt bones and the same equal weight. And breathe. If your legs are on the floor, you want to go for a little added stretch. Pull your toes back to face you, and you'll get a little bit more of a calf and a hamstring stretch. Breathe. No pulling and tugging on the body. Sense and feel the connection of your leg inside the socket of the pelvis. Walk it up and switch. Find the middle. Twist your belly button to look at your toes or your knee, wherever you can see, and keep the pressure, keep the weight on the right butt bone. And just a little hinge over while you're going over your left leg here and your right butt bone is really planting. Hopefully you feel an opening in your low back on the right side here. And come back to center. So now we're going to get on the floor onto our backs. Let me lower my screen. Bend your knees and place your feet on the floor. Plant your feet. Actually, if you have to look, plant your feet about 2 of your fists wide apart. So the idea is alignment. So if your feet are out wider than your hips, the legs are not in alignment. Put your feet to the best that you can sense. Your feet in line with your knee and in line with your pelvis. So everything is the width of your pelvis. And then we want to sustain the alignment by not letting the knees fall out or fall in. And it's really common that when we have muscular imbalances, the legs here are gonna fall one way or the other, either in or out. But when the leg is a balanced muscle, and all of them, and there's a lot of big muscles in the leg just sits in the socket. So that's what we're going for, where we're not gripping to hold them there. So just let your foot connect to the floor and sense the bottom of your feet against the ground. Connect. Feel the ball of your big toe, the ball of the baby toe, your inner heel and the outer heel. It's a rectangle. So if you have to pick up your heels and pivot them out a little bit so that your outer heel lines up with your baby toe, for some of us that will make us feel a little knock-kneed, but then you align your knees straight ahead, and that adjustment will be a hip adjustment instead of just moving your ankles around. So press your feet now firmly planted and do a little pull back, an isometric. I'm not going to move my feet. I'm going to pull back a little bit, and hopefully that gives you a sensation of lengthening your lower back. I call this grounding the spine, and this helps with that root system that I talked about earlier about being in alignment with nature. So you pull back and you get a sense that the pelvis is really held now. Place your hands on your pelvis itself. Feel your pointy hip bones in the front. And all we're going to do now is a pelvic exploration given the ranges of the pelvis. And we're going to do this from the foot. The leg is not going to move at all. We're going to isolate the movement of the pelvis. So with your feet, pull, you'll feel an arch. Push back, you'll feel a flattening of the back. Now your pelvis is no longer in neutral. Come to neutral. With your feet, swing your tailbone to your right heel and then your left heel. Just the pelvis, knees don't move. Swing it back and forth. The pelvis has a natural pendulum swing. It goes forward and back, side to side, and it can also spiral and twist back. So now come back to neutral, put more weight on your right butt, and you'll see it will tilt to the right. Put more weight on the left, it'll tilt that way, and go back and forth that way with the foot pressure, like a seesaw going up and down. So now release any kind of grip or hold in your gluteal butt muscles and explore the ranges of your pelvis without it being forced. Go forward, go back. This is mobility, which means graceful fluid movement. Forward and back. The intention is to release for freedom, not to go to our maximum. Pendulum swing, swing right and left. Release the gripping in the pelvic floor, in the glutes. Let your pelvis move. Now the other way, right and left, seesaw, seesaw, down and up. And just keep releasing any tension in your low back, any tension in your pelvic floor. The quads, the thigh muscles are not activated. This is just pelvis. Now place your hands on your hip bones again. Take your right leg in the air, straight up, but your pelvis doesn't move. So incorrectly, it would look like this. My leg would come up and I would lose my natural lumbar curve. I would crash into my low back here, putting a lot of pressure on L4, L5. So I want to bring my pelvis into that neutral position again and just roll the leg out and roll the leg in and roll the leg out and roll it in. And we're doing this from the hip. So that means your abdomen has to do this, not your ankle, not your knee. You're just moving your leg from the hip. We're trying to gain hip mobility. Pull your abdomen back towards the spine slightly and you may get more range. Now keep your abdomen engaged, not gripped, but drawn in. Keep your natural lumbar curve and just move your right leg around and see your range. Your range may be this, or your range may be this. Just do your range, and the idea is that the leg moves, but nothing else. Your pelvis doesn't go with the leg like this or like this. It's just core stability. And what you're learning to do, you can make circles, you can go to the right, you can go to the left. You're sensing that, because the ideal is that your leg movement does not affect spinal structure, which every time we walk, we use leg movement. So that's why we want fluidity in the hips. So now let's explore the left. Place the right foot in the footprint, the knee is bent. Make sure that knee stays in alignment. Take your left leg, find out your range. Keep growing your head because the head is part of spine, right? So you don't want to pick up your head and look. You want to just move your leg around with your hands on your pelvis and check out the movement of your pelvis as your leg moves. And not only on that side, your supporting side is really what is helping you stabilize the core. Bring it around, do circles. When we do circles, oftentimes the supporting knee, it will go flying all around. So stabilize with that leg, and that is a very simple core exercise. Nice. And now bring it down. Feet are in the footprint, hands are on your hips. Let your knees open to the side. This is like what the kids call butterfly position. In yoga, we call this Baddha Konasana. Rolling in, rolling out. Knees roll out. Soften all the muscles in the back of your hips. Roll in, roll out. Sense your hip mobility. Now take your right leg, cross it over your left. If you have range to snake your foot around your calf, go right ahead. If you don't, you don't, no big deal. But internally rotate your upper leg. Feel the internal rotation and how it widens and stretches the muscles on the top of the pelvis. If you want to add a little twist here, take both knees to the left and just rest, breathe. Keep your right shoulder on the ground, and if you feel like you have the range in your neck, look to the right, breathe. Engage your lower abdominals to bring both of the legs back to center. Uncross, move it around. Fluidity, mobility. Put the right foot on the floor, pelvis in the middle. Pick your left leg up and bring it all the way around. See if it can snake around. If it can, don't hurt your ankle to do it. Both knees fall to the right. If you have the range in your neck, don't force it by overlifting the chin. Remember, lift the heart to turn the head. Grow the spine. Lift, engage the core. And that's going to give you more neck mobility. And come back. And release that leg out. And now leave both legs planted on the floor. Feel your pelvis in its neutral position. Let's bring the arms up now. Leave your arms up right over your head. Relax the arm bone into the socket. Let the arm bone fall into the back of the shoulder socket. Connect it. Now, same premise with the arms, because the limbs are not supposed to really pull on the spinal structure. So now open your arms like a T, about 3 or so inches off the ground. And sense, where does my arm start? Right? If by opening your arms, it overexposed your ribs, soften your ribs down to the floor and just sense, maybe you want to add a little movement of circular motion to really feel the muscles on the back that are holding your arm. So now take a nice inhale And on your exhale, engage your lower abdomen and pull back with those feet like we did earlier. And let your core midline drag your arms back up to right over your chest. And so we're attaching the arms into the torso now. Let it open, let your arms open back out to that T. Try not to let your ribs overexpose themselves. Pull back with the feet, exhale, and let the core drag your arms back to center. So your chest muscles do not have to puff up, and your shoulders, the top of the shoulders, they're really not involved. Think about, do it again, think about the muscles underneath your armpits, along the sides of your body, and your lower abdomen. Can that drag your arm in? And as they move out and in, just go for a few more reps. Don't allow your arm to jump out of the socket. So it's not about how far you can reach your arm. It's about how we can invite the arm to move with gravity. See, I get to right about here, and if I relax a little more, my arm will fall deeper into the socket, and that's going to help release my neck, and then bring it up. Now, if you feel like you have the range, you can do one arm or both. I'm going to do both. We're going to go over the head, and I want you to go super slow. You're going to go a little bit and pause. Make sure your hands are on the same level. Go a little bit more, pause, see if your elbows started to bend. If they did, invite your arm deeper into the socket, and continue on your journey over your head. And notice if your pelvis is moving. Can your feet maintain the stability of the pelvis? Notice if your ribs fell back. And come back up using your core. So these are the beginning fundamental theories of core awareness. Try again, go over your head. The theory is that all movement is initiated and supported by the core. So there's less pressure on the joints, which leads to less joint replacements and less tears and wearing down of the bones and the ligaments that attach. Going over your head, hold it halfway over your head, soften your ribs down, pull back with your feet, engage your lower belly. How much can the core really hold your arm? Release the muscles around your shoulder and bring it up, and then bring it down. Rest. Rest your eyes, rest your awareness. Just breathe. Final move before we go into a restorative pose. Hello? We're going to take the right knee into the chest. And you're going to extend your left leg all the way out. As you're holding on to your right leg and your left leg is extended, take a breath here. As you exhale, drop your rib cage towards the back of your mat. Let that core pick up your head. Don't put any pressure on your head, on your neck. As you're here, your head is up. Stretch your left leg as far as it can go, all the way out across the room. And then lower back down. And switch. Extend your right leg, hold on behind your left knee. Flex out your right foot. As you take a nice breath, inhale on the floor. As you exhale, drop your ribs into the floor. Let it pick up your head. Stretch that right leg all the way out. Reach, reach, reach. What we're doing here is lengthening our psoas, and I'll talk more and more about the psoas as the weeks go by. And come back. Place both of your legs out on the floor. See if your legs, the back of your legs, feel any more connected to the ground than when we started. And so now we'll move into a restorative pose of Shavasana. If you feel like you want something behind your knees, maybe a bolster, maybe a blanket, maybe a towel behind your knees. Let your arms open up out to the sides. Allow the feet to just fall out of their natural way they are in the hip socket. And just let the eyeballs sink into the back of the head. Release facial expression. As you exhale, send the exhalation into the base of the spine. Holding the vision at the base of the spine, and as you exhale, think about releasing tension as you exhale. Now visualize where the spine meets the back of your head. As you exhale, release tension there. Relaxing the jaw, all of the neck. Anchoring both ends of the spine. And with every exhalation, you just surrender to gravity. We resist gravity by holding and gripping. So just surrender. The floor will hold us. And as the two ends of the spine anchor, allow everything in between to float. Float your organs. Imagine the spine floating. Imagine inside the head floating. Releasing all conscious or unconscious imposed positions on the body. Just float. Bringing a sense of lightness and brightness into the internal environment. Just observe as the body relaxes. Staying curious to how it unfolds. Releasing the urge to control or manipulate it. Even if you think it's in the wrong position. Truly letting go of what we think we know. And remembering that the more relaxed we become, the more the body's self-aligning, self-healing system takes over. So we just keep surrendering. And as the body makes its little undulations and its own little letting go, we just watch. Letting go so much that it's almost as if something else is breathing us. Allowing ourselves to be breathed. Staying in that state of allowance and expansion. If you sense that energy is blocked somewhere in your body, that is an invitation to relax deeper. Gently bringing yourself back with a few cleansing breaths. And before we come back up to a standing or a sitting, we're just going to roll onto the right side. Drawing the knees up, whatever is comfortable for you, in a soft fetal position. Let the head fall inward, allowing the spine to open up. And as you exhale, follow the exhalation all the way into the belly core. 2 inches below your belly and 3 inches deep within. And allow yourself to just breathe in a nourishing, soothing way. Releasing any tension that may reside in your center, which cuts us off from our intuition. So take this time to just return to buoyancy. And then we'll use our hands to come back up to our seated position, slowly. And whatever way is comfortable to sit. And coming back into the vision of the midline. The very beginning, the way we started. Holding the vision of the midline with the awareness of the 4 pieces of the breath. And notice the level of presence. As we inhale, bringing the arms up, and we will close our practice as the hands come in front of the heart. And I always close the practice with thoughts of gratitude. So as the chin falls and the eyes look into the heart, I invite you to remember a few things that have already been created. They're already there. And even if they're not exactly the way you want them or to the degree that you want them, take a moment to acknowledge what's already there so that we go forward on a platform of abundance and not lack. Allow the vibration of abundance and gratitude to rise up within, and allowing the nervous system to get adjusted to that so that it's not overexcitable and it's not doubtful. It becomes the way our inner environment just is. Calm, open, aware, and feeling full. Abundance has to be right here, right now, so that we can align ourselves with that vibration and guarantee that we draw more of it into our lives. So sometimes we literally have to practice the vibration. Honoring our physical bodies for being capable to come and do practice, thanking the part of ourselves that brings us onto the mat, and thank you all so much for letting me bring you through this initial practice. Thank you so much for coming and just sampling out. The practice will change each week. As I get used to this, you get used to this, we can continue to grow together and to continue to move and breathe and meditate in our community. Thank you so much. And like I said, if you have any questions, please send them to me through email. More than happy. I see there are a couple of chats. I'll have to take a look at that. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye, Judy. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thanks.